Hello. Hi guys, it's your girl SimplyKay back with another video. So this video is all about how it's been going as a new nurse. I am a medical nurse resident in a medical nurse residency, and I am in like week 8, so I've been doing this for like a month and a half now, which is crazy. It makes time has just flown by. It's crazy. I'm still a baby nurse, of course, but I do feel a little bit more comfortable doing certain things than I did week 1. So this video is all about answering some of the questions that I've got from people and just telling you about my experience so far. So stay tuned and keep watching. Hello! So I think I'm gonna bring you guys with me today. I really want to record a video, but I don't know what to record. Hello guys, that's my jam! Seeing how this background looks. Is it giving you everything? Hello. Okay, so let's get started. First question, how is it being in a nurse residency program? So I really enjoy being in a residency program. I am with maybe about like 14 or 15 other nurse residents that just graduated as well, or first year nurses. And we have like classes once a week, and our program started July 15th and ends December 28th. So we get that big stretch of time. Like, that's a couple months to have a preceptor. So from July to like November 2nd, we're with a preceptor. And we're like rotating on different units. I rotate on 4 different units. So usually each rotation is about a month. I'm currently in my 2nd rotation. But after the 4 unit rotations, you get a unit of hire. Like, you go through interviews and then you get a unit of hire. And it's just nice. Like, I always feel like I am not scared going. I'm not scared to like go in for my shifts because the preceptors are great. It's a really nice transition. Like, I never feel alone, which is nice to have. Like, as a new nurse, you feel like you don't know anything. It's really scary, it's really nerve-wracking, but the residency allows you to transition. So we're learning stuff in our classes that we have, and then I'm also learning on the floor. So I really like it. I would suggest like anyone who has the opportunity to be able to do a residency program to do one. A lot of them are different, so it just like make sure you like look into what your residency program would be. But mine is like 6 months, and it's just nice to have a nice transition and feel like you're supported and people are there for you and they're there to help you and help you grow into a nurse. So I like them. All right, second question. What is it like being a med-surg nurse? So I am in the medical nurse residency, so I'm on like a med-surg floor, but it's not any surgical patients, really. It's more medical. I like it. It's very like overwhelming at times because I never know what's wrong with my patient. Like, when I go in, I don't know what to expect. Like, it could be heart failure, it could be COPD, it could be diabetes, it could be stroke, it could be anything. It could be liver disease, kidney disease, like, which I like because I've been seeing a lot of things so far. So it's pretty much like everything you've learned in nursing school on a floor. I haven't seen a chest tube yet so far, but I've had like a trach patient and everything else I just listed before. I've had all of that. But it's a lot. It's a lot. Like, med-surg nurses do a lot. It's a lot of multitasking. It's a lot of time management. You're like talking on the phone with families, doctors. You have 5 patients to yourself. Like, you have to make sure they're okay, talk to their families, make sure you know about them. I feel like that's the hardest thing, is like making sure you know enough about your patients to feel comfortable talking to doctors and talking to family members. That's something that is kind of hard as a new nurse, because you're like, I don't know anything, so I don't want to talk to them. A lot of times I'm like, oh God, I don't want to answer the phone. I don't want to go into that room and talk to their family members, and they ask me a question and I'm like, I just graduated, so like, let me go get my preceptor. It really feels like that. But some of the questions and stuff that family members have asked, I was able to like say what they needed, but other than that, I just run to my preceptor and I'm like, they have a question. That's basically the gist of how I feel about being a med-surg nurse. It's a lot. You have to be definitely on your toes. You have to be organized. You have to know each timeline of how your day is gonna go and expect things to change or things to pop up. But I really do like it. It's a good experience. I feel like I'm getting a lot of experience doing different things, seeing different patients, so I like it personally. Next question is, what kind of floor am I on? So like I mentioned before, I'm in a residency program, and my residency program, we rotate onto 4 different units. So my first unit was, like I mentioned before, and my first day was an ACE unit, so it was an acute unit for the elderly, which was nice. Now I'm on a unit that's just like a medical floor that has like diabetes, COPD, just all basic types of medical diagnoses that you would come into the hospital for. The next unit I go to is pretty much, I think, the same thing, but it also is a medical stroke overflow unit. So some stroke patients might end up on that floor if on the stroke floor they can't have enough, or they're like stable enough to be on a medical stroke floor. So that's one of them. And then the last floor I'm on is just the same thing, like another medical unit. I don't think there's much difference in them, but it's just another unit, and there's small slight changes and differences in them, but all medical units, so it's exciting. But right now I am on the one with just basically all the regular medical diagnoses, which is very different from the ACE unit, because there no one could like walk, eat, do anything for themselves kind of, and now I have like patients who get up and walk and use the bathroom by themselves, and I'm like, oh, this is wonderful, this is great, like this is a refresher, like I didn't have to help you, or you know, it's a little nice to have like patients who are independent. Next question is, what's been the hardest part of being a new nurse? What has not been? No, it's not that bad. It's honestly not bad. I don't think I've had any days where I haven't cried. I haven't like felt like I'm that incompetent so far to the point where I'd come home like upset or anything. I haven't had that experience at all yet. It's just like you have to realize that you're not gonna know everything, and that's okay. Like, you're a new nurse. So I think having that mindset going in, I don't beat myself up about things that I don't know, because how am I supposed to know if I've never had the experience? I've never been a nurse before. Things that you do in clinical, you're not really doing. Like now I'm being more independent and I have my own license, so it's different. The whole process is about learning and growing, so you can't hold yourself to such high expectations when you're learning. So, but the hardest part, honestly, for me is, I would say talking on the phone. Like I mentioned this, but like talking, I like am allergic to the phone. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to answer it when it rings. I'm like, I just feel so awkward. I feel like I don't know who it is. I don't know what they're gonna ask. I don't know if I'm gonna have the answer to them, because I'm probably not gonna have the answer. But I just get so nervous to answer the phones. And a lot of preceptors, like some will answer it for you and just do everything and not even like think to like, oh, let me let my resident do it. I already don't like talking on the phone in my normal life. So talking on the phone and feeling like you don't know anything is so stressful. But I mean, I am answering the phone. Some preceptors like make me so. But the hardest part, honestly, other than that, would just be, like I said, not beating yourself up about things that you don't know, and constantly feeling like you didn't learn this in school and you have no idea what you're doing. That's like, I feel like the biggest thing as a new nurse, you just kind of feel like you don't know what you're doing. But each preceptor has taught me a lot. It's not that bad. I thought it was gonna be terrible. I thought I was gonna be crying all the time, but not doing that bad. So the next question is, how many patients do you start out with? So as a med-surg nurse, you can have anywhere from like 5 to 6, maybe even 7 patients. But on the floors that I've been on, 5 has been the most. So they usually have around like 7 nurses. And if they have a shortage, then that's when you would get like 6 or 7, depending on how it is. But I've only had 5. In our residency program, we kind of have like a guideline on how many patients you should take for your own. Like, we're getting independent. Like some residency programs, you're basically just with your preceptor and they're with you every step of the way. But I feel like my program, I don't know if it's just me or like how other people in my residency feel, but a lot of my preceptors like let me give meds by myself. Like they have to watch us the first pass, especially when they're new with us. But other than that, you do everything by yourself unless you ask. Like you never done anything and you have to ask for help. But like IV stuff, I ask for help all the time, and they'll be either right next to me or I'll just call them back in the room. But it's pretty much independent. But we started out the first day with just shadowing a nurse, and then you were supposed to start with like 1 patient and then gradually move up to 2, 3. And this week that I'm in on my rotation, you should be doing 4 to 5 patients. So I've been doing 4 on this unit, and I feel like that is like enough right now for me, because like I said, this floor, you never know what you're getting, and a lot of these patients kind of require a lot. So my comfort level right now is 4, but I know I'm gonna have to move on to 5 the more and more like deep I get into this residency. But on the last floor I was on the ACE, I did do 5 patients because I just felt comfortable. But they're really like lenient about it. Like if you don't feel comfortable, you just speak up and let them know, like, I'm not comfortable taking this many. It might take you longer than others, but right now I just have 4 patients to myself. So I do like their meds. I document on everything that happens with them throughout the day. I do all their documentations. I do everything for them, and then if I need help, I ask the preceptor. The next question is, what shift do you work? So I've been doing just day shift, been alternating between 12-hour shifts and 8-hour shifts, but mostly day shift. I worked previously a 3 to 11:30 shift, and I know that in our residency program they want us to have experience doing day shift and night shift, but I have not had my night shift rotation yet, and I just got my schedule for the 3rd rotation, and that's day shift, so I think I'm gonna be on night shift my last rotation. So we'll see how that goes. But it's a mix of 8-hour shifts and 12-hour shifts, because we have our classes that are usually like 8 hours or sometimes 4 hours, but 8 hours for the most part. So we work 72 hours, so 40 hours one week, 36 hours the next week. So we have a nice little mix, which I like, because I don't know, it's like good to have 3 12s in a row and get out the way, but it's just like draining and it's a lot because you're just going in and you're learning every day. So I like the mix so far. Next question is, how is the transition from being a student nurse to a registered nurse? I honestly think that it's better. Like, it's hard and it is like stressful and overwhelming and it gets frustrating at times, but I think it's so much better to be in the field, learning hands-on, and like feeling like you're gonna eventually be an independent nurse, rather than in nursing school you kind of learn a whole bunch of stuff, and right now it hasn't helped that much. So I feel like the transition has been, it's nice. Being in a residency program is something that I would definitely stress for you to like look into when you graduate, because it helps so much with the transition. I never feel alone. I never feel like I'm just like stuck, I don't know what to do. I always have someone there to help me. The classes prepare you for things that you're gonna do on the floor. Your managers are there to help you. Like, it's just a nice, someone basically holding your hand, and then eventually they let go when you're on your own. But it's nice to start out like that rather than just be thrown in and be like, okay, here's your orientation, and then you're on your own after that. I wanted something that I could prepare and take my time and really feel like I'm growing and learning, and then like be like, all right, you gotta go, and then we're preceptors. Next question was, what has helped you that you learned in nursing school? I feel like your basic knowledge, like the labs that you learn, like the different disease processes, the drugs. I know the drugs I have no problem with. So when I'm giving medications, it's so easy for me to just be like, this drug does this one does that. Do you have any questions? Like, that's something I feel confident in. But everything else you kind of pretty much learn on the job. What's helped is like clinical experiences, like seeing things before has helped. And then also just being a tech when it comes to like having conversation with patients and stuff. I feel like that is a big key that like helps now as a nurse. Having that experience, like I don't feel like that's an issue for me. Whereas if you haven't worked before or you haven't really had much patient interaction in a clinical experience, that can be kind of scary as a nurse, like feeling comfortable going in there and feeling like I can take care of you, I can do this. So I feel like those have helped, because that's not like an issue for me. Everything else is just like me trying to learn how to survive on my own basically. But yeah, nursing school, just all the common knowledge that you need to know, like it does help, but I feel like a lot of the things that you learn on the job and not necessarily what you learned in nursing school. Next question is, how is your preceptor? So I kind of mentioned that I have like multiple preceptors. This rotation I've had 3, and my last rotation I had 2, and they've all been amazing. They have all been amazing. I know that's a scary thing, and that was something I was most worried about, is having someone that was like mean or like wasn't patient with me. But I've had pleasant experiences with all my preceptors. They've all taught me different things, and a good thing about having like multiple preceptors is you learn how they do things, so you kind of can take things from each preceptor and use for when you're on your own. So if you like something that one preceptor did, you could incorporate it into how you work. So That's the one thing I do like. But everyone's been so nice and supportive, and like they really want you to learn and get experience. So that's another thing that I think is important when choosing a hospital. Make sure it's a teaching hospital, so then you have the best experience on the floor as you're learning, especially in a residency program. And then the last question is, how are the nurses and other staff? Everyone is great. Everyone is so friendly. I've had like terrible experiences with being a tech, sometimes with like nurses and also clinicals, and having nurses that don't want you around them, or like they clearly don't want to be at work, or they're just like, stay away from me. But I have not felt that at all. Everyone's helpful. People who aren't even my preceptors come up to me and ask me like, do you need anything? How are you doing? Like the managers check in on me and ask like, how's everything going? How are you liking the floor? How do you feel so far? And then I'm also meeting a lot of nurses on these floors that also went through the medical residency program. So that's nice to have. So I'm able to ask them like, what was your experience like? Do you have any advice for me? So it was just like a networking, and it's a very friendly environment. So I haven't had any issues with anyone on any floor so far. So I think it's important, like find a hospital where they have like a good, friendly staff. I know that's kind of hard, but I feel like everyone is nice. So that is all the questions that I have received from people or anyone has asked. So if you have any more, I'll be happy to do a Q&A part 2. So just leave those questions down below, and then I'll do another video answering those questions. If you have anything else that you want to add or ask me about how I feel like being a nurse, or how it is, anything you want to know, so just comment down below and I will answer them. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Everything's exciting. The residency program is going by so fast, and I can't believe that I'm already a month and a half in, and next week is my last week on this floor, and I start my 3rd rotation, and then I'm literally halfway through this residency program. It's crazy, but I'm excited, and I'm excited to bring you guys along every step of the way. So stay tuned for more with SimplyKay and my nursing journey. I hope you like this video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned for more. Bye guys.